Welcome back to the program, everyone, and as always, welcome to Oblivion. And, by the way, happy Halloween, y'all. We have such sights to show you today, guys. It's the Cenobite's 1-year birthday. It's our anniversary episode, and I couldn't think of a better movie to cover than Hellbound, Hellraiser II. We're bringing it all back to the beginning, y'all.
Shit, yeah.
Back where we started. Actually, Jason, for the occasion, I took a little trip, and I got in touch with this dude in Morocco, right? And I found this box. And it's unsolved right now, but if you just want to twist that little guy for me and stick that down, let's see what happens to kick this off.
Let me see that thing.
The doctor is in.
What's going on, everybody?
Holy shit, where did you come from, Nick?
I came out of the spirit box. What are you talking about?
Did a door open up somewhere in my living room? Jesus Christ, what just happened?
Did you guys not see the hallway?
I don't now. What? It's the Necromancer back to join us for our anniversary episode, and once again we're covering Hellbound, Hellraiser II from 1988. I'm Dusty Lane.
I'm Jason Mitchell.
And I'm Nick Cummins.
And we are the Cenobites.
Hello?
I came for you. We have such sights to show you.
It was an excellent day for an exorcism.
I said, I'm not gonna hurt you. I'm just gonna bash your brains in.
I want to play a game.
What's the boogeyman?
As a matter of fact, it was. This is God.
We all go a little mad sometimes. Haven't you?
But sometimes that is better.
And we're back.
Shit, yeah, we are. What's happening, y'all? The OG lineup come back to join you. You know what? Let's address that for a second. We had a bunch of episodes with Nick when we first started, and then you kind of fell off the face of the planet, and we didn't really address it on the show. We did behind the scenes, but we didn't really talk about it on the show. It wasn't anything like, there was a problem between us and we split. Just had some sort of life events come up and had to step back for a little while, right?
Yeah, not at all. As I said, when I popped back out, I obviously took a trip into the lament box. So.
Right. Well, we did mention at one point that you had died. You were killed by a deadite, and we were working on a way to resurrect you. Turns out we had to switch franchises to do that.
Yeah, I'm just jumping through franchises. Next time you'll have to sing the Freddy song. We'll see what happens.
Just say Nick 5 times in the mirror.
Yeah. But no, there was no bad blood between any of us. I mean, I've been still listening to episodes here and there, and just, like Dusty said, I had a bunch of life events last year that were kind of overwhelming, and so I kind of took a step back, and but now we're here. Dusty messaged me a few weeks ago and was like, yo, we're coming up on 1 year, let's all get together. So
yeah, we're all still buds, no worries about whatever was going on. Nick will be joining us here and there for stuff, and we'll play it by ear as it goes. But today, once again, happy motherfucking birthday, the Cenobites.
Birthday, it's our birthday.
So we're bringing it all back around to where we started, the Hellraiser franchise, talking about Hellbound. Hellraiser II, which it should be mentioned, the story that this all comes from, is called The Hellbound Heart by Clive Barker. This movie, not directed by Clive Barker. This one was Tony Randall. No, not that Tony Randall. Studios and distribution companies involved here. Troop Star, Film Futures, New World Pictures.
A whole bunch of different people.
I
had different versions. And you know what happened to me? A little bit of karma watching this one and no fucking subtitles.
What'd you watch it on?
DVD. I don't know.
No shit.
Special edition had all this different sound stuff. You could set it up for Dolby sound checks, all these options. No fucking subtitles anywhere. I was so pissed.
At all?
No,
That's
none.
weird.
That's insane.
None.
That doesn't make any sense. It makes sense for the DVD that you let me borrow, which I didn't use, by the way. As soon as I realized there were no subtitles on it whatsoever.
On the one I gave you either?
On the one you gave me, yeah.
Wow.
There were no subtitles on there. I ended up watching it on Prime.
I got you.
I pulled it, I think it was Prime or Paramount, one of those two had it. And I was just like, okay, cool, I don't have to pay for this one.
Right.
Yeah, I don't. How can it be an uncut, extended, have all this shit?
no closed captions.
None.
Well, after we close the book on this, you can definitely have that DVD back. I don't need to keep that one. I don't know if I mentioned, rated R, 97-minute runtime, released in the year 1988. Our setting, I'm still not really sure, like, what region this is supposed to be, much like the original
They'll never
Hellraiser.
mention.
But we are in India for a second in the beginning when we see Elliot Spencer, the whole, British occupation of India thing. And then we're just in a mental hospital or Chenard's house or hell.
Yep.
One of
I think
those.
that about covers it.
One of those places.
We are in hell.
Yeah.
Are you talking about the movie or the current
I mean,
landscape
yes.
of our country?
Yeah. Just all of it, I'm trying to focus on this hell because I don't want to be reminded of the hell that I actually live in.
Fuck yeah, that's right.
So our plot here, basically the saga continues, dude. More where that came from. We're just continuing the story, so much so to the point that we get just a whole-ass recap of the first film at the beginning.
Dude, I love it.
Yeah?
I wish this would be...
You like a previously on Hellraiser.
Kind of. I like it when the movie continues right where the other one left off.
Yeah.
And it doesn't really happen like that too much anymore, I don't think. Not where the movie starts.
Not often.
And you get, here's the ending again because, like you said, the story continues.
Right. And speaking of the story continuing, the gang is all fucking here, you guys. We get pretty much the entire cast returning for this movie. From our, main protagonists to our main antagonists to the Cenobites. Everybody's fucking back except poor Larry.
And the female Cenobite.
Including the female Cenobite,
I just checked it out, and it is a different actress for
it
the
is?
first movie.
Okay, so Barbie Wilde played the neck vagina lady?
In this one. Yeah, she's in Hellraiser 2, and then it was Grace Kirby for the first one.
You are correct. It was Grace Kirby. Thank you for that reminder. Yep, I was mistaken.
Her head was a lot more round in this movie, and I was like, that's way different.
That's what clued you in?
Yeah.
So, obviously, Kirsty again, who I think is my favorite final girl. I'm just going to say it.
I have a couple notes about, like, damn, Kirsty really is a badass in
She
this
rules.
movie.
She rules,
She's
dude.
dropping
what she
one-liners.
does in the end of this movie,
Yeah.
oh my God. But played by Ashley Lawrence. She's fucking great. Pinhead / Elliot Spencer. Ooh, what is he talking about, guys? Played once again masterfully by Doug Bradley. Julia, we get fucking Julia back. Claire Higgins,
Her and
same
her
actress.
fingers.
Her and her goddamn
Dude.
finger sucking.
Yes.
Frank, once again played by Sean Chapman. We get our first new character here, Dr. Chenard, played by Kenneth Cranham. Cranham. Candham.
Kenny Candham.
We've got Tiffany, played by Imogen Borman. I got some notes about this character toward the end of this movie, too. We need to address some things about where the fuck she came from and who she really is. Kyle, who ends up, for a moment, you think he's going to be Kirsty's new love interest. I don't know if it really goes there.
He was barking up that tree.
He was trying to bark up that tree, but he was worse than Steve, dude. I want Steve back.
Where's poor Steve?
Kyle, played by William Hope. And once again, like I mentioned, the Cenobites are all back. We already mentioned Pinhead, but we got Butterball, played by Simon Bamford. The Chatterer is Nicholas Vince. And the female Cenobite, like you just said, we got Barbie Wilde stepping in on that one. Another honorable mention I wanted to point out here is Mr. Browning from the mental institution.
Yeah.
He puts on a hell of a performance in this movie, played by Oliver Smith.
Evidently, he also played Skinless Frank.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that makes sense.
Interesting.
So he played Browning first, and then for the scenes of Skinless Frank, that's why he did what he did with the razor.
I guess,
Okay.
yeah.
Some more people returning. Robin Vigian doing cinematography. I think he kills it. He does a really good job. And music by Christopher Young once again. And the score really presents itself at the very beginning of this movie. We kind of start... There's like a New World Pictures logo to kick us off, and like a big score sting begins the movie. And then that's where we hear the voice from the first film. Oh, what's your pleasure, sir? And from there, basically, we just go through a recap for a minute. We cut to the gruesome image of Larry Frank from the first movie, suspended in the air by chains. His face is all pulled apart. He says, Jesus wept.
Yeah,
Yep.
dude.
He laughs. He explodes. Got Pinhead popping up and saying the whole such sights line. Get the architect. All the Cenobites come to play. There's a huge squirrel.
Scoil?
There's a huge choral and orchestral score that's like swelling as we get our title card. The music in the beginning of this is a little Batman-y, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I noticed it too. I was like,
Wow.
Yeah.
it's not the only weird superhero thing going on in
And
this movie.
it's not the only weird score moment in this movie either. I got one I want to point out later too. That's playing over our credit sequence.
I thought a little underwhelming too
Yeah?
for an opening.
The score?
Just the credits and stuff.
just the black screen
It just
and-
wasn't.
It
very, very minimal and not. I don't know. It needs a little oomph.
goes
you
on
know?
for a while.
It was the
Yeah.
80s. What are you going to do?
Right.
Makeup effects in this movie by Image Animation, it's mentioned. We cut to our first image of this movie, and it's basically just a close-up of a gauge on a shortwave radio dial. And there's a man speaking Hindi over it. He mentions BBC London immediately, and that's what reminded me of the whole British occupation thing. We pan our camera across a bed, and strewn across it is a military uniform, a gun holster, a fancy safari hat. This dude parties, whoever he is. Turns out to be British military officer Elliot Spencer, who's sitting crisscross applesauce on the floor in this big, like, Quonset hut, and he's holding the lament configuration.
Yeah.
Oh, shit, what are we getting here?
This is you said Elliot Spencer, so we're seeing how Pinhead came about.
Dude, and he fondles his box for a minute, and then he traces his thumb around the circle, partially, and suddenly there's a zap of electricity from within it that scares the shit out of him, and he drops it. And this is already a cool shot of him sitting in the middle of this floor in this big-ass room, but it becomes cooler when as soon as the box drops, something gets pulled over the windows on the sides of the hut and just envelops the room in darkness.
Right.
Except for, like, a skylight above him, which lights him dramatically below.
This was another thing that felt a little underwhelming to me because this is essentially the whole scene. You know what I mean? I think there needed to be more here.
There's...
Other than him opening the box.
There's not a lot of explanation. Like, as someone, I mean, I talked about when we did Hellraiser, like, I've never seen any of these movies. This was my first time watching Hellraiser 2 as well, and so, like, I mean, I made a note about it. I was like, wait, is this Pinhead? And I only knew that because it was Doug Bradley, but I was just like...
I did know prior to the film that I had never watched this movie before, but I did have the knowledge that, yes, Pinhead was previously Elliot Spencer, a military officer or whatever.
Right.
But there is a lot of, like you mentioned, kind of play between shadow and light really here, but there's a lot that's unseen that you would prefer to be seen.
I just wanted a little backstory. If they're going to show him opening the box, why don't you dig a little bit? Otherwise, what's the point of even showing this scene?
Sure.
We know he opened the box at one point.
Right.
Like, no fucking shit.
Well, speaking of which, when it drops, the lament configuration kind of turns into a music box, which you get that kind of calliope music playing at that moment, too. It's interesting. But the middle of the box opens, and then Spencer kind of creeps toward it. He nears it, and chains shoot out. We see the hooks tear into his flesh. He screams, the camera zooms into his mouth, and then we cut to a quick shot of the architect hallway from the first movie as Elliot screams. And we get the origin of Pinhead here, like you're talking about. I'm not sure how I feel about some of the shots initially. It's a little blurry for me. I prefer my gore and practical effects to be a little clearer than that, but alas...
Right.
It's almost like the cameras they were using just weren't quick enough for the time.
Maybe.
And, like, they were doing the shots so quick. And
I feel like a lot of it was intentional, though, and I just think it was a bad choice.
Okay.
Do we know anything about budget here? Like, did the first movie do well enough that movie 2 gained more budget money?
If my internet hadn't just gone out, I could probably answer that question for you.
I'm looking it up to see
Okay.
if it's on
Like, I'm
IMDb.
curious because I would say that would come into play. Like, hey, maybe, yeah, Hellraiser turned out decently.
Yeah.
Or maybe, hey, we're highlighting another one just trying to jump on the train because
Right.
the Hellraiser franchise is not the Halloween franchise.
Right.
Or, you know what I mean? So,
So, looks like the first movie had roughly $1 million budget
damn.
and then made 4.5 at the box office, but that's to current. And I know they've done a couple bring back to theaters moments.
Re-releases, yeah.
And then Hellbound had a budget of $3 million, so it got a couple,
Okay.
Wow.
couple more
really?
$1 million.
So it did jump.
But did not make as much opening weekend first Hellraiser made $12 million.
Well,
Today.
with that knowledge, I'm a little disappointed then, because we get pretty much the whole gang returning for this movie, like including crew, except for Clive Barker directing. And what this movie did with that $3 million really isn't anything more than Hellraiser did with that $1 million.
Didn't seem like it. I mean, there was nothing. The only thing really extra was their labyrinth in hell, and outside of the dark, danky hallways.
Probably some more blood used in this one, maybe, with all the...
Oh, yeah, definitely with the get off me scene. There was more blood use.
Wonder how much that fucking computer-generated labyrinth image was in 1988.
Dude, that was probably half of the budget right there.
Couple of skin suits, you know?
Right.
But in this opening here, there are some cool images of his flesh being scored on his head and nails being driven into his head all over the place. My question is, how did he lose his hair so quick? What the fuck happened?
It just was gone immediately.
All of a sudden, he just didn't have hair.
You don't have hair in hell, thank you.
Burned off. Yeah.
Bloody Pinhead does look cool here, though. We hear a man's voice saying, the suffering, the sweet suffering. And then we finally cut to Kirsty. Yay, good old Kirsty. She's lying awake in a hospital bed as a guy stares at her from across the room. And he goes, "Welcome back. This is the Chenard Institute, a psychiatric hospital." And he tells her they brought her in and her boyfriend, but Steve's okay. Don't worry, guys. They sent him home hours ago. And her line delivery right here is fucking incredible. She's like, "Who the fuck are you?"
She has a couple of really great line deliveries in this movie. I have one later.
And Detective Ronson from Homicide is who the fuck he is. What's going on with this dude's eyes? One of them's pointed up a little too high. He's got like sloth vibes, maybe a chameleon. I'm not really sure.
I didn't even notice.
I didn't notice that either. I thought they had some bushy eyebrows, but that was about it.
Also that. Maybe that's it. He's got one hanging down and that eye is just drifting up to look at it. You know how like some tribes and stuff will tie a little bead in between the kid's eyes so they go cross-eyed and it's like a fashion statement?
No, I didn't know anything about that.
I didn't.
Ronson says he was at Kirsty's father's house, and then we cut to an exterior of the house from the first movie. There's a beat cop inside of it, exploring. He sees all Frank's nasty nudie pictures.
Yeah. Ooh.
And then he fucking approaches this wicker basket of some kind. I'm like, bro, do not open it. There's going to be a fucking Belial in there.
I kind of thought that too.
Chenard kind of does the Belial scream later in this movie.
Yeah, he does.
It's like his thing. But he does open it, of course, and inside is a decomposing body. Maggots crawling all over the place.
That one was good. I mean, some of the budget went into these decomposing bodies because I thought they all looked great.
They looked very good.
Real, yeah.
He turns away, and a skeleton falls on him. He spins around and kills the shit out of it. Shoots it like 6 times.
Right.
Yeah.
6 times.
Unloads his clip on it for sure.
Cut back to Ronson. He's trying to interrogate Kirsty. And he fucking he's leaning against the wall and he spins around all dramatically. And he's like, "Would you talk to me?"
Yeah, right. This time without any fairy tales, little lady.
Yeah.
And if she was crazy, why would you think you would be getting any straight answers out of her?
Well, you still got to ask. You know?
I guess.
She goes, "My father didn't believe in fairy tales either. Some of them come true, though, Mr. Ronson, even the bad ones."
Yeah, you can't blame him. I mean, I wouldn't believe that shit either.
He doesn't get it. She asks if he has a family, but he can't answer because he gets a call on his radio. And Officer Cusich tells him they found another body, but it suffered some accidental damage. And he fucking turns and he eyeballs this first cop who crosses his arms and looks away like, "Shut up."
Yeah, right.
I didn't do anything wrong, man.
Telling the boss on me, man.
Right. Cusich tells Ronson the only portable evidence they have other than human remains is a mattress.
Oh, yeah.
Bloody mattress.
He goes, "Looks like someone was messed up real bad on it." Oh, you got that right. But Kirsty is triggered for some reason by the word mattress and remembers Julia. Goddamn Julia.
Yeah. Oh, shit.
We get a close-up of said mattress with a big blood stain and chains hanging out of it. That doesn't come standard in most mattresses, right? I just bought a mattress. I was mattress shopping. I didn't see a whole lot of chains hanging from them.
No chains when we bought ours either.
They owe you. Mine came with chains.
Where are my chains?
Yeah, it comes with chains.
I'm gonna have
Jason's
to get
ordering off the right website.
Chainbeds.com.
Not sponsored.
So we cut from that to an operating theater of some kind. And we're introduced to Dr. Chenard, who is giving a lecture, and he says something about the mind is a labyrinth. Ooh, remember that, ladies and gentlemen. He goes, it's a puzzle. It is the lure of the labyrinth that draws us to our chosen field. To unlock those secrets, we as explorers of the mind must devote our lives and energies to going further. And he fucking, as he's talking about this shit, there's a dude in the background that kind of gives him a hell yeah. He doesn't say anything, but he like nods at him like, fuck yeah. Like, he's performing a procedure on a lady who is apparently awake. What the fuck?
Yeah, dude, and her forehead's all stretched open.
And then the worst looking fake brain in the world.
Yeah, it's not great. But this is happening in front of a bunch of prospective neurosurgeons, I guess. And he mentions we must tread the unexplored corridors in the hope of finding, ultimately, a final solution. Really, dude? Why would you choose those words? Jesus Christ.
This lady's laying awake with whatever numbing medication they're using, and she's like, what the fuck did he just say?
Yeah, a little number tattoo on her arm. There's some creepy imagery in this scene, first of all. We get a close-up shot of the brain, and it does look bad, like you said. And then we see her skin is peeled back and clipped on these metal posts. And he starts sawing, drilling into it, but then gets a call over the PA saying the new arrival is awake and appears very distressed. Uh-oh. Chenard's like, all right, I got to get the fuck out of here. Clean up for me. Tell someone named Kyle to follow him. And he says to Kyle as they're walking away that they have a delicate case. There's a very traumatized girl, a witness to multiple murder involving members of her own family. Police brought her here hours ago, but she was lost. She was beyond reach. What tales, I wonder, will she bring us from the other side? And then Kyle starts to speak, but Chenard tells him to shut the fuck up immediately. He's like, no, we have to start with examination before diagnosis, basically. He says we must win their trust, draw from them their story, and take from them their pain. Cut to Kirsty freaking the fuck out in the room with Ronson.
Oh, yeah. She's pissed.
Throwing chairs and shit.
She tells Ronson he doesn't understand, but he says, whatever you saw, they're gone, talking about the Cenobites. She's gibbering on about solving the box and the Cenobites coming. She does sound like she's lost her marbles.
She's talking about the mattress, and you got to get rid of that mattress.
But the way she's talking about it is just very...
frantic.
Frantic, yeah. Ronson's just exasperated, but then Chenard comes in and introduces himself along with his assistant, Kyle McRae. He pulls Ronson aside, and he's like, oh yeah, that's quite the adventure they believe they had. But he wants to talk to Kirsty alone. So Ronson leaves. He goes, maybe we can talk tomorrow at Kirsty. He's actually kind of comforting in that moment. Before he leaves, Kirsty tells him he has to destroy the mattress. Julia died on it, so she could come back like Frank. Solid logic.
Mm-hmm. Why not?
And
sure.
He just gives her a, yeah, okay. And he dips out. Chenard stares at her skeptically while she repeats that a couple more times. You got to destroy the mattress. He goes back out into the hall to catch the detective, and he goes, I can help her, but I'm going to need your assistance. And this is the beginning of, okay, what the fuck is going on with Chenard?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yep.
Kyle talks to Kirsty. She's sad because she thinks Ronson didn't believe her. And he's like, well, maybe not, but that doesn't mean you're not telling the truth.
Right.
Because crazy people don't know they're crazy. As far as she's concerned, it is the truth. So dose her up again, get her some more sleep. We'll talk to her eventually. Chenard comes in just to say that he can't talk to her. What the fuck? And he goes, Kyle will give you something to help you sleep. We shall speak tomorrow. And they both leave. There's a cool exterior shot of the hospital with some storm clouds and lightning. Kirsty's having trouble sleeping, hearing noises from the next room, so she gets out of bed to check that out, and someone is solving a three-dimensional wooden puzzle. The girl solving the puzzle looks up and Kirsty waves. Kyle sneaks up on her and spooks her and gives her the worst fucking line delivery in the movie. He's like, oh, Jesus, I'm sorry.
Did it seem weird to you guys that she just got up and walked out of her room?
I wasn't sure if it was a dream sequence at first, because I was like, if this is a mental institution in the 80s...
That's the thing. We have images of that. Yeah, exactly. Like, we expect the door to be closed and locked, and you're in your room for the night.
From the outside, yeah.
Maybe it just depends on what floor you're on in this fucking hospital, because the deeper you get, we will see very soon.
Oh, yeah, crazy.
Things
it
are real
gets crazy.
fucked up.
So maybe the people upstairs are like the M block inmates. They're like, these aren't the dangerous guys. This guy just embezzled a little money. This one,
she's obsessed with puzzles.
One too many jaywalking tickets, whatever, So maybe they can roam around. But he's talking to Kirsty about the girl in the room, and he goes, sad, huh? She's been here 6 months. She's a complete mystery. No family, no visitors. She's completely alone. The nurse named her Tiffany. What the fuck? Since when do nurses get to just name patients like she's an office pet or some shit?
Better than Jane Doe, I guess, huh?
I suppose.
But they'd stick with it. I mean, they call her Tiffany the whole movie. That's never revealed her actual name.
Right. That's what I want to address later, dude. Like, who is she actually?
Yeah.
Was her name actually Tiffany?
Why didn't Tiffany's mom tell the doctors
What her real
Tiffany's
name was? Yeah.
when she was there?
Sure. Yeah, maybe. But why wouldn't, if her name wasn't actually Tiffany, why wouldn't she correct them toward the end of the movie when she's actually
When
talking?
she's speaking, like, yeah, you guys don't have to call me Tiffany anymore. It's actually Jeanette. I don't know why I pulled that one out, but
Her name's Barbara.
Babs.
too many Bobs.
So Kirsty immediately asks what her real name is, and once again, that's what I'm talking about. See, this is why I like Kirsty, dude. She gets to the fucking point. Get shit done.
Ask the questions we all want to know.
Apparently, the girl never speaks. She just solves puzzles. Dr. Chenard thinks that's a good thing. Maybe she's putting something in order in her subconscious. And Kirsty goes, or opening doors.
Oh.
Let's maybe not. And this is the part where it's like, oh man, is there a romance developing between Kyle and Kirsty? Not a fan. I don't want that.
Yeah.
Yeah, they just talked about her boyfriend who was let go.
Right. We never follow up with Steve in this movie. He tries to give her some sleeping pills, but she tells him she's not taking anything. She's not crazy. He's like, I'm just doing my fucking job. God.
I'm a doctor.
Yeah, take these pills and you will like it.
Kirsty lays back in bed. She hears like the radiator hissing, and she already seems to be in sort of a dream sequence here. We cut back and forth between the girl solving the puzzle and the radiator hissing, and apparently Larry, skinless and bloody, writing on the wall, "I am in hell, help me."
Oh, yeah.
He reaches
Oh,
out
meat
to her.
sacks.
Yeah, the score kind of throbs like a heartbeat until it suddenly stops.
Throb.
God damn it.
Weird word use for this kind of movie.
What does a heart do? Does it not throb? Is heart throb not a word? Fuck you guys.
He said throb.
Yeah, I did, because that's what hearts do. Fuck you. So it stops all of a sudden. She looks back toward where the body was, and it's gone, but the words remain. She gets up and goes to investigate. Apparently, it appears to be real blood. She wipes some on her lips. What the hell, dude?
Yeah, dude,
Gross.
Gross.
What are you doing?
It's how you get blood diseases.
It's your dad. Like, you think it's your dad's blood. That almost makes it weirder somehow. I don't know. I don't fucking know. We cut back to the now completed wooden puzzle and a close-up of Tiffany.
Dun, dun, dun.
It's her superhero reveal.
Anybody know why that wooden box has anything to do with the Pinhead box?
I mean, I think
it was
it's just
just
her solving puzzles.
Yeah.
That's what she does. That's what her proclivity is.
Oh, okay. So it was unrelated to her
Yeah.
dad popping up.
Well, Tiffany was the one solving the box. Kirsty's, well, she thought it was Larry. We find out later it wasn't.
Right.
But I don't know if those two things necessarily have anything to do with each other,
like-
other than, I am in hell, help me. Oh, I have to go help Dad. How am I going to do that? I'm going to end up needing the help of this girl who solves puzzles, I guess.
It's strange.
I don't know.
Lightning strikes, you know.
The next day, Chenard strolls across the courtyard of the hospital. Somebody's repeating 105 years in the background. Inside, he's greeting all his patients. He walks past somebody, and this guy sitting down goes, 105 years, and he still doesn't know my name. Chenard takes the elevator to the maintenance level, which is below the basement. Fucking talk about dun, dun, dun.
Yeah, he's got some weird pleasures of his own here.
Dude, this is where they keep the really crazy people.
On the maintenance level. What the fuck, man?
As soon as the door opens, there are just screams everywhere. There's an orderly struggling with a patient in the hall. Chenard peeks in on another couple of them. One of them's got tattoos all over, and he's holding a cross out in front of him. Another one apparently thinks something's crawling all over him. Upstairs, Kyle comes to Kirsty's room, and he's staring through the window like a fucking creep for a minute. Just like Michael Myers in the bed sheets.
Right.
You know?
He's a little pervert.
He is. Especially what he does after they get done with that conversation later. I don't know about that. She tells him that she had a visitor, and it was my father. He's alone, and he's still suffering. And he's like, your father's dead. And she's like, yeah, dead and alone and suffering.
And he got a ticket to hell.
Yeah.
Yeah, Kyle's like, all right, I'm out. I am getting Dr. Chenard. I was thinking about putting the moves on this one, but I don't know now. He goes, I'm sure Dr. Chenard can help. And Kirsty, that's when she turns and she's like, does he have a ticket to hell? Kyle looks at her like,
Dusty's
damn.
got the full line. I just write lines down when I like them. I'm like, I think it was right here.
Well, Kyle turns around and looks at her like, oh, fucking K, I'm leaving now. Kyle overhears Chenard on the phone with Officer Cusich when he approaches his office, and he's arranging for him to bring the mattress. What the hell does he want with this thing? Are you kidding me?
Yeah, to the house.
He clarifies, yeah, let me make that clear. The house, not the hospital.
Yeah, I don't... What? Sure, man, no problem. We'll just drop off this bloody-ass mattress from the crime scene to your house.
Why are the cops just like, yeah, sure.
Why is what the fuck was going on with policing in the 80s? Jesus Christ.
Yeah, wherever you need the evidence, yeah, we'll take it wherever you want. Doesn't matter.
Oh my God, that would not fly these days.
No. We already got our blood sample. You can have it.
Right. Up in Kirsty's room, Chenard and Kyle talk to her. She goes, this must have been going on forever, but the part I know about, the part that destroyed my family, must have started with my dear old Uncle Frank.
Oh, yeah, we get a little
Flashback.
throwback. Yeah.
Come to daddy.
He corrects her immediately. Brother Frank.
Frank, her dad, and his wife's love triangle. Once again, fucking Julia, literally.
Yeah, I felt like there was some added scenes here that were not in the first movie.
We do get the sex scene recap. She mentions, yeah, they must have been with each other, and then it cuts to that. She tells him about the box, and she's got a weird line delivery here. Frank must have solved it.
You don't say.
Solved Julia's box.
Yeah.
God damn. She says it was a gateway. Personally, I prefer HP. She goes, hell was what he wanted, and hell was what he got. We see a quick shot of the weird pillar thing from the first movie and some more Cenobites action.
Yeah, I love these recaps, man.
Yeah, dude. She explains that Frank somehow came back to life. We see that awesome Frank scene of him reconstituting himself and crying like a baby. That was one of the most gnarly scenes in the first one.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of have a little bit of an issue with the recapping scenes padding your runtime. You know, I won't complain too much if we get to see that sick shit again, but I don't know, like, let's have new movie.
It definitely felt like the studio said, no, you got to hit this. And
yeah,
they
play.
What can we do?
They play all the hits, dude.
Mm-hmm.
Kirsty chimes back in. She goes, "It was Julia, that bitch. Hell yeah, preach, sister."
That bitch. We all hate Julia here.
Julia.
I should have a welcome mat that's just like in parentheses says, "Except Julia." She goes, "She brought him men to make him stronger so she could have him again." And then we get some classic Julia finger sucking. Finally, oh my God, it's been a year, you guys, but we finally come full circle. He fucking drops his "come to daddy" again. So we cut to the chatterer shoving his fingers in her mouth. That's another little flashback.
Shit, yeah.
She says she made a deal with the Cenobites to give them Frank if they left her alone. She tried to warn Daddy, but Frank and Julia murdered him and took his skin.
I took his skin.
Frank betrayed and killed Julia, left her to the Cenobites, and she died on that mattress.
Or did she?
And then we cut back to the chatterer chattering. I love that shit so much. Just
He's the best. He's my favorite.
She goes, "Do you believe me? Am I crazy?" And Chenard goes, "Well, that's not a word I choose to employ, Kirsty, but clearly there is much we have to discuss. So short answer, yes, you're crazy."
I don't know, man. He's involved in all this shit.
Yeah, he says that, like, though there's much I have to do, like, cluing us in that he's up to more than just helping her, obviously.
I thought it was interesting, like, how pristine his mansion was. Like, It kind of resembled, like, how sanitary the hospital was. So I was just like, oh, this guy's kind of weird and fucked up, too, because...
Well, speaking of the house, that's where we cut to now. And speaking of him being up to much more, holy shit, dude. His little, like, den here is filled with lament configuration related shit. And, like, it's crazy. This dude has been at this for a long time.
Well, and correct me if I'm wrong, is this the first time we see that there's multiple boxes, or is that later?
I think that is maybe not until Kirsty comes in with Kyle.
Okay.
No, I got it in my notes right here.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
it does show the actual boxes on the table.
Like 3 of them under glass.
Yeah. So yeah, the camera pans through the interior. Something's like screeching in the distance. I don't know what the fuck that's about. So we see the mattress on the floor inside. Chenard paces around it and grabs a drink. He leaves, and Kyle breaks in and discovers the mattress. He's like, weird. Yeah, it's fucking weird.
Yeah, dude, evidently Kyle is a master lockpick.
Yeah.
Grabs a screwdriver and...
in there in 2 seconds.
Yeah,
I want to see more about Kyle's life before this. He explores this cool room. There's like a model skeleton. There's a bunch of books on like anatomy and shit. Interestingly, there's a sketch of a maze on the wall. equations on a chalkboard, a picture of the lament configuration on the wall, and what's this? 3 actual ones under the glass on the table? Like, holy shit, what are these all replicas, or are they all like operable, I wonder?
As a game changer, that's what I thought. Like, immediately, whatever you thought of how this all worked prior is, oh, there's more than one?
Right.
What the fuck?
Do they all have their own different, like, pleasure thing? Like, I was like, man, there's
A
more than
different
one box.
version of hell?
Like, yeah, like, well, because they kind of get into that, like, oh, that was his hell, this is your hell.
Yeah.
Like, so I do wonder if there are like, that's what each box is just like the, I was kind of thinking when we get the reveal later that all of our main Cenobites they were real people. Are they, like, each tied to one of those boxes for some reason?
Yeah.
Like, that's the master Cenobite? That's the Pinhead of this box?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Just curious. I don't know where it goes with that or if they even pick it up.
Right, yeah. But where in the hell did this Chenard guy fucking come from? This is a lot of shit he's got on just this whole situation in general.
Yeah.
A lot. Like
how,
books and books and
like his
sketches
life's work.
and models and yeah.
Yeah, he's got a lot going on. A bunch of shit about the 4th dimension.
Right.
Is death the 4th dimension?
We cut back to the sub-basement at the hospital, more shrieks through the halls, dripping pipes and steam everywhere. This hospital is cool as shit, actually. I really like this like walkway that's it's like a glass block walkway above where a hallway leads into somewhere else down there. But there's light coming through that glass block hallway and people walking by and shit up there. It's really cool.
Shit, yeah.
Kyle discovers a bunch of articles. There's one that says The Labyrinth of the Mind, Children of the Vortex, Puberty Link with Psychic Phenomena, Is Death the 4th Dimension, and then a picture of Elliot Spencer.
Yeah, shit.
And he's like, yeah, Jesus, he must have been into this shit for years. A bunch of sketches of the lament configuration. We hear, get him off me in the distance. And we think it's going to cut back to the hospital, but it doesn't. It's still the same scene, which means get them off me guy is now at Chenard's house.
Right.
Turns out his name is Mr. Browning. Chenard leads this dude to the mattress and takes off his straitjacket. And there's a bunch of wounds all over Browning's body, apparently from him scratching at himself.
Yeah. Oh, gross.
Chenard makes him sit on the mattress. And this Browning guy, as I mentioned before, gives a hell of a performance. Just his crying and shaking, and it's a very emotional performance.
Hard to watch.
Yeah.
You're not gonna want to eat dinner while you're watching this scene.
Yeah, apparently he sees maggots on his skin. Chenard pulls a straight razor from his desk, gives it to Browning, who immediately slices his chest and abdomen open, trying to scrape off these bugs.
Oh, God.
Dude, so fucked up. Like,
Yeah.
you are a doctor for a mental institution. You're just like, yeah, I know you're going to kill yourself with this, but here you go.
Right.
I like the quick shot of, like, the real scene with no bugs on him, and you can see him cut himself, and that's extremely uncomfortable.
Right.
And then you get the quick shot of the one with the bugs on it that's he's seeing, and it's like maggots and shit, and it's just gross
Yeah.
as fuck.
Well, here's the deal, though, my guy. How is cutting yourself with a straight razor going to get the bugs off you? You got to scrape.
How he's crazy, though. You know?
So he lays back on the mattress, continues cutting himself all over while Chenard watches. We hear a heart beating loudly at this point. I'm sorry, throbbing. Because fuck you. Suddenly, 2 arms burst up through the mattress on either side of Browning and grab him. Legs wrap around his, and then Julia's fucking face pops out of the mattress.
Yeah, dude. She's back. She's been reborn.
Her and her fucking meat sacks.
Yeah, I was going to say, this is a gross, bloody slop fest. There is so much fucking fake blood.
They just naked blood wrestling.
Julia evidently knows judo.
Yeah, off the mattress and onto the floor. They're just writhing around.
Yeah.
Browning tries to crawl away, but Julia catches him. Why did she come out so much more fully formed than Frank did?
Maybe just because of the amount of blood. Like, when
maybe.
Frank first came back, it was just the drop of
The
blood from
mattress
the
came
finger.
pre-blooded.
Could be that, too. It was directly connected to her, where, like, with Frank, it was just, like, through the floorboards kind of a thing.
I wanted to point out her meaty ass cheeks here, too.
Meaty ass cheeks.
Meaty ass cheeks.
Okay.
They're meaty.
I do believe, would one of you be willing to look up, I think there's another woman playing Julia, like Bloody Julia.
Can check it out.
Check back in on that.
Jason jerks off to this gross.
And her meaty
Hey,
ass
hold
cheeks.
on. I have a whole bunch listed for cast up here. Skinless Julia is Deborah Joel.
Deborah Joel. Okay, yeah, not Claire Higgins.
No.
Her ass cheeks are apparently
Her
not
ass
meaty enough
cheeks are
to
meaty.
play Skinless Julia.
My question is, do they just, like, how are they covering her in, like, strawberry jello and, like, different prosthetics? Like, I mean, it looks fucking good.
The makeup is excellent.
Yeah.
1,000%.
If I had to guess, maybe Julia has had enough success from being in the first movie that, hey, I'm in for part 2.
I don't need
No,
meaty.
I'm not
I don't need
fucking
meaty
sitting
ass
in the-
cheeks.
No, I'm thinking I ain't getting in that makeup again.
No, I'm not sitting in
for
that.
8 hours.
Yeah.
Oh.
You know? Yeah, she could have been like, that's part of my deal. I'm in the movie. I'm back. You want me? Hire somebody to do that gross ass makeup scene.
Well, she never did any of the gross ass makeup.
She didn't
though,
do it in the
first
first
one.
one?
No.
Oh, okay.
She was always just regular old Julia.
She
I'm
might have just
sorry.
been like, I'm not doing that. Frank had to do that. So
Right. So I'm gonna go with the meaty ass cheeks thing. I'm
Okay.
Julia from Hellraiser. I don't need
It
those.
sounded like she did it in the first one when you said that, and that's why I said,
No.
maybe it was a pay thing.
No. There's just a different woman playing Skinless Julia
I
in this
got you.
movie.
That makes sense.
Right. So just in case y'all forgot, Kyle is still here.
just chilling in the corner, freaking the fuck out.
He's kicking it behind a curtain, and Browning reaches for the fucking curtain Kyle is hiding behind. Oh no.
Right.
Julia reaches into the back of this dude's head. And we hear a bunch
Damn.
of flesh munching sounds
Oh.
as she fucking goes to town
so
on
fucking
him.
gross.
Oh my god.
It's
there's like-
weird. She like grabs his brain, but she's also
Well, she does it a couple times in this movie where her
couple of
hand
different
just,
people
just slides vertically into the back of
Right.
someone's head. I don't know exactly what it is she does when that
then,
happens.
And then she makes out with him until he turns blue.
Yeah.
He like she's like
Yeah, it
Shang
gets all
Tsung.
veiny.
She like
Yeah.
sucks his soul out.
Right. She rolls over after she's done. She goes, "Help me." Chenard has a streak of blood on his cheek. He stares horrified. He pushes the mattress toward her with his foot, and she crawls back onto it and starts writhing around. She's like, "Don't be scared of me."
Don't trust her.
Okay.
He doesn't know her like we do.
Right.
Dude, I love, so she gets back on this mattress and almost kind of gets more energy, I guess. I don't know how else to put it. Enough to stand up, But
Well, we know from the first one for sure that that's how they get their shit. That's how they reconstitute themselves with someone else's blood. So, yeah. I mean, she's pig and shit right now, literally rolling around, you know, like.
she stands up here, though, and she's talking, and you get the shot of her back.
That's where I noted that the makeup was
Dude,
fantastic.
like her spine.
She's
and
all wet and red and gooey like before.
It's almost like there's a section of her back cut out to expose her spine. Like
Yeah.
you can tell that there's like levels of her flesh.
Right.
It's so fucking good.
Yeah, dude. She turns to him and she goes, well fucking what? What do you mean?
We know. Well, she's ready, dude.
She's ready to stick those fingers in his mouth.
Or vice versa. Quick cut back to another puzzle session during a storm, and then back to Chenard's house again. Julia is fucking this place up, dude. She's standing there, all bloody, on his white carpet. There's a handprint on the wall. She punches the fucking mirror. She's
Be
like, I'm
so
cold.
pissed.
That's not how let's use our inside voices.
Dude, I made a note here. Julia is so fucking wet.
Yeah, she is very wet. That's where I put, like, is she covered in jello?
Just covered in pudding.
Is that pudding? Oh, that's pudding.
Chenard.
I put, can't have this bitch bleeding all over my house.
So after
Yeah, his house is all like stark white.
Right.
Everything is just pure, except for where she's been.
after she breaks the mirror here because of how she looks,
Mhm.
she turns and says she's cold, but I made a note here also that she had this sick drip hanging from her chin.
I noticed the
Turned,
drip.
was like,
Also, if you're cold, fucking dry off. That's an excellent point. She's wet. Is there a breeze in that house?
No,
it looks cold.
Can you get me a towel?
you don't want her meat to dry out.
Yeah, oh no, not at all.
Gross.
What if she loses her ass cheeks? Chenard gets a couple space heaters for the living room and he lights a cigarette with a match. Julia comes in wearing a naturally all white ensemble.
Hell yeah.
I mean, this looks kind of cool, but A, why white? 2, why just an open blazer and pants? And C, why in the hell doesn't she have any fucking shoes on?
I would imagine that's his suit. He's not going to have
I
his
mean,
chick
sure.
clothes, right? But I kind of thought that too. She looks kind of funny. It's like a high-waisted pant and a
Yeah.
blazer jacket and no shirt.
No shirt, yeah.
Right.
No shoes, no problems.
That suit's going to Goodwill after this.
She says, well, again, and he's like, yes, you look, she goes, strange, surreal, nightmarish. He's like, nah, of course not. You look You look amazing.
She's already trying to fuck this guy.
Yeah.
But this is a really awesome moment. You can tell that she's just been born again. That's why I said born, because she takes a hit of that cigarette, she takes a sip of that wine, and it's like the first time time in a long time that she has felt any kind of pleasure from something, you know?
It was so unnerving. Her smile when she takes the cigarette and then just like takes it away from her mouth. Oh my God. I was just like, oh, that's like fucking chilling, man.
Yeah.
Like that one got to me.
Well, it's you can put yourself in that place, you know, like I don't know, whatever you might have gone without for a while, and then you get it again, you're like, oh.
Right. Yeah. On top of just feeling in general again, right?
Right,
Yeah.
So she leaves a bit of blood on his hand. He wraps her up like the Invisible Woman. Like, Jesus, she looked better before, dude. Unwrap her.
Oh, I disagree. I like her better mummy style.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. Why does everybody keep saying well so much? Like, they give it to each other back and forth a couple times here. She approaches him, pushes him against the wall, moves his hand down to her ass. Oh, no, thank you.
I don't like the upskirt shot of her, because he only wrapped her like the parts of her you can see evidently. So they have this angle where he's reaching up towards her ass from the undershot, and it's all bloody.
He noticed those meat cheeks you were talking about. Shenard's ready to fuck a corpse.
So she kisses him. Yeah, she slides his hand up to her chest. She pokes his finger under her eye and then like streaks some blood down her clean face bandage. What a dick.
Yeah, thank you.
All that work he just did.
He's trying to wrap you up.
But yes, we get some fucking finger sucking for the win once again. She goes, now what we need is skin. Cut to Kirsty in the shower at the hospital, and oh great, we see fucking Julia's gross bloody boobs, but we can't see Kirsty's nice clean ones. Cool movie. real cool.
Hey, boobs are boobs, and this is horror.
Boobs are boobs. Kyle is waiting in her room when she comes out. What the fuck? What's going on?
I thought that too.
Well, and then he like, you can't tell directly where he's looking, but she's just getting dressed, and then he's just right there looking in that direction. So you're like, he's just fucking watching her get changed, you pervert.
Well, no, he ends up mentioning something about he can get her clothes because, like, first of all, her first question is, what's wrong with you? Great question, Kirsty. And he goes, it's all true. Get dressed. I got to get you out of here. And then Kirsty opens up her wardrobe, and it's empty. And he's like, I'll get you clothes. I can do that. I'm a doctor.
Like he completely just like lost his composure. Like, oh, I don't know what the fuck to do anymore.
I rewound that line like 2 or 3 times.
The I'm a doctor one?
Just, I can get you clothes, you know. I am a doctor. Like, I was like, what the fuck kind of, who wrote that?
Right. Not Clive Barker. That was a screenwriting call. We cut to Kyle telling Kirsty about what he saw, and he's like, she had no skin. She goes, Julie doesn't deserve to come back. That's not fair. I need that box. And he tells her Chenard has more boxes, and she said, all right, well, I'm going to his house then. Bitch, how you know where he lives?
She's like, I'm going there.
I'm headed there.
Figure it out.
He goes, are you crazy? She goes, well, I don't know, Kyle. You're the fucking expert.
Oh my God. Dude, I loved that line delivery.
Yeah.
She is so good in that scene. I don't know, Kyle. You're the fucking expert.
I laughed at this whole thing in general because if you know, as I'm watching, I'm pausing, I'm rewinding, and I'm thinking about things more than just one quick watch. And I'm like, did I miss something? How is going to get this box going to save your dad? Jesus wept. He's fucking dead. He exploded.
Yeah.
Well, you got to get there and figure out what the fuck's going on, because apparently he's got some sort of corporeal form down
Do you
there.
not remember his skin was literally ripped off of him and worn?
Yeah, the ending of the first one was sick. I didn't think he was alive in hell somewhere, which I know we find out here, but just
Sure.
He gone, honey.
Right. She looks like Winona Ryder and Sigourney Weaver had a baby. She says something about when I think I hurt. She says she's going to get her father. He agrees. She goes, you don't have to do this. And he goes, I know. And I'm like, wait, yes, he does. Once again, she doesn't know where he fucking lives.
Gives her a little chin touch here.
Yeah, the weird, like, chin thumb boop for the road.
I'm telling Steve, he doesn't deserve this.
I don't know about that. Steve didn't do anything quite as creepy as that.
Oh, man. Pervert.
We cut back to Julie and Chenard making out during a thunderstorm.
But there's a storm a brewing.
Julia's wrapping is too form-fitting around her ears. It's a little weird right there, but she's wearing a nice dress.
Yeah.
They have a naked woman tied up for Julia to munch on. Why is she naked? None of Frank's victims were.
That's a good question.
They're getting a little extra with it. This is more Dr. Pretorius from fucking From Beyond.
Oh, yeah. I loved how quick this transformation happened, you know? It was like, holy shit, Julia's complete already?
Yeah, dude, we get an off-screen munch session, but as it happens, we scroll past 7 other bodies chained up in various stages of physical trauma and decomposition. And Chenard cuts Julia's bandages off, and yep, there's fucking gross old Julia, but actually looking less gross in this movie. I think the short hair didn't do her any favors. This is much nicer, much less harsh.
She's glowing here.
Yeah.
When he cuts the
but
bandages
when she
off.
comes out of the bandages and her fucking like hair and makeup are all done, and she
Oh,
looks
yeah.
gorgeous and
Like, damn.
like red carpet ready, you know?
Mm-hmm.
What the fuck did that come from? This is another moment, too, where the score is strange. This is very, like, old-time Universal movie.
Oh, yeah.
Universal monster movie.
Right.
But yeah, she's back to her old self again. I like the decision to skip through the process here.
I think so, too.
Because Frank never got back to Frank in the original Hellraiser.
Right.
He ended
Yeah,
up just
yeah,
taking Larry because that was easier. in the
Right.
end.
yeah. I'm patient.
Yeah. Chenard leaves the next day. Kirsty and Kyle break in. It's awfully windy around here. And they go inside, and there's a fucking curtain blowing like a motherfucker. It's windy inside, too. Jesus. Kirsty immediately reaches for one of the boxes, and Kyle smacks her hand. He's like, no, we need to check the rest of the house first. He tells her to wait for him, and he finds a room that's got a dead guy covered in flies on the other side of the door. But Julia stops him from opening it. She goes, I knew you'd cry out. It's just terrible. And he's like, is it still here? Talking about Julia from last night when he saw her all bloody.
Oh, okay.
And it's like, dude, she's fucking playing you, Kyle. You gotta run,
Oh,
dude.
yeah.
So this is the munch room that they find. It's not just one guy. This is the
munch room.
The munch.
Yeah, dude. It's the graftiteria.
Hell yeah.
The bellycatessen, if you will. I won't, but you can. Kirsty finds a picture of Elliot Spencer and then a diagram of how to make a pinhead. And Julia asks, was I right? Is it terrible? Fucking yeah, of course it was terrible.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Just traumatize this man. Even if you didn't fucking murder him here, he would be not okay for the rest of his life.
And then she says the worst line in 2 movies right here. And she goes, come to mother. What the fuck? Why
Yep.
is that somehow worse than come to daddy?
I wrote that down too. I was like, oh, we got come to daddy and come to mother in this
But
movie.
mother, not mama.
No.
Mother.
Not mama, not mommy, mother. Come to mother.
No,
Bates
thank
Motel
you.
shit.
That's what I was just thinking, dude. Yeah.
I'm starting to think just from this scene and scene before, obviously there was some kind of lust shit going on with her and Frank in the first one, but I'm kind of like, she's got this kind of like spell thing going on, because anybody that she comes in contact with, whether she has skin or not,
They
is
just want to bang.
100% on her trail.
Right.
You know what I mean? So she kind of looks over, winks at you a little bit, and she's just got this like, you're going to fuck me thing
Exudes
going on.
it,
You know,
exudes it,
it's,
yeah.
it's crazy. Nobody resists this woman ever.
Yeah, and I don't get it because I would resist the fuck out of her because no thank you. But there is a cool shadow silhouette of a chained up body on the wall behind Julie while she's standing here. There's still a small patch of open wound on her back we get revealed when it cuts to his, the 180 shot of him. We see that like little bit of the middle of her back.
Right. No, and that totally caught me off guard.
A little in the
because,
middle, she ain't got much back.
like previously, we all assumed that she was complete. So at this point, I was like, oh, she's just going to start fucking this guy. Like, no, she needed one more body.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep. He completed it.
Trick me.
She asks his name. She introduces herself. She starts sucking his soul out of his face. She keeps on stuffing her fingernails into the back of people's heads. She does it to him, too.
Yeah,
That's
sick,
new.
dude.
We spin around the two of them, and by the time we get halfway, his veins are like popping out. He's bleeding from a bunch of different places. His neck skin's tearing off. Kirsty hears his body hit the floor from downstairs, and she calls out to him and then takes the picture of Spencer. She goes up there, and she finds Kyle dead on the floor, and she's like, not again.
Yeah, fuck. Stepmom had it again. Stealing my
Yep.
boyfriends.
Yeah, Julia reveals herself here. She goes, you have surprisingly good taste in men.
Yeah.
They didn't tell you, did they? They changed the rules of the fairy tale. I'm not just the wicked stepmother. Now I'm the evil queen.
Yeah.
Take your best shot, Snow White.
fuck, dude.
That was fucking cool.
Yeah.
She gives her a fucking nice backhand.
Yeah, dude, knocks her out.
So much so when she wakes up, she's like rubbing her jaw. She's like,
Yeah.
Yeah, damn.
bitch, hit me.
Chenard walks in with Tiffany and he goes, now it's my turn. What?
Yeah.
Wait, for
Wait,
what?
what are you doing?
Yeah.
What's it your turn for?
Yeah, I was real concerned on where this
Oh,
movie was
God.
going for a second.
I did not think that, but I immediately said, what the fuck's this guy got up his sleeve now?
Yeah. Tiffany sits on the floor with the lament configuration. She studies it for quite a while Julie and Chenard watch. Tiffany kind of scans the room. She starts tracing the circle, and we hear the walls creak. She continues manipulating it, and a piece pops up. Another adjusts itself. Julie and Chenard are standing in the other room. She goes, are you sure this is what you want?
It's like a weird false mirror situation, too.
Oh,
They
yeah.
were like looking through a mirror that Tiffany couldn't see.
You've never seen that with like a round mirror like that where it's like, was it like the sun or something where it coming out
Speaking
of it?
of Snow White.
Yeah, it was kind of on the nose.
Like,
yeah.
kind of cool, but kind of strange. Like you have a false mirror into a room.
Why
in
did
your
you?
house.
Why did you already have that? Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
that
strange.
nothing good happens in that room.
Yeah.
But Julie asks him, are you sure this is what you want? He goes, it's what I've always wanted. I have to see. I have to know. And
Oh, bitch, you about to find out.
Tiffany moves the final piece. Curtains are blowing around. Lightning starts lightninging. This is a weird exchange between Chenard and Julie right here. He goes, she's done it. Julie goes, she certainly has. It's coming. It certainly is.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah, show is.
Suddenly, all the glass in the room bursts. Books start flying off shelves. And I don't mean like in a New York Times bestseller sort of way.
Exploding. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, a door slams itself. A jar with a heart apparently in it bursts.
Hell yeah.
All the paper in the room gets sucked to the walls, and then two doors that previously didn't exist open. And there's another one behind Julie and Chenard as well. And here we finally get the fucking Cenobites arriving.
They're back. We're, 45 minutes into the movie where I was starting to go, where the fuck's Pinhead, dude?
Where-
Yeah,
what's
where's all
going on
shit?
here?
Yeah.
Chatterer walks in, chattering up a storm. Butterball next, neck vagina lady after him. She's sharpening something. She walks up to Tiffany ready to kill her. But then Pinhead walks in and he's like,
Wait! No! It is not hands that call us. It is desire.
That was a pretty good impression.
Yeah, not
okay,
bad.
thank you. Coral Score is putting in some work right here. Chenard and Julia have already slipped into the dimension opened by this box. They're like halfway down a fucking hallway already.
Yeah.
They didn't fuck around.
They said, we're not sticking around for these guys.
Yeah, the Cenobites just walk away from Tiffany as the box unsolves itself. Tiffany stands up. There's more calliope music, but much more like a circus now. And we cut back to Kirsty waking up in the room upstairs. The room around her begins like rumbling. There's light coming through the slats. She comes out, sees the box, immediately grabs it, and runs straight into the labyrinth, calling out
Ready
to
to
Daddy the
save
whole way.
Daddy.
So yeah, she's running through fucking MC Escher's house. This place is crazy. Staircases leading everyit
It's like a carnival here, dude. I feel like it's almost different for everybody.
What Tiffany wanders into, yeah.
Yeah.
She's like looking for the music, and it absolutely is a carnival.
Funhouse
Didn't expect that. Like, you
mirrors.
hear the music, but I didn't expect it to
Is
actually
that
be a
weird,
carnival.
fucked up clown with like the eyeballs or something?
He's
like
juggling his own eyeballs,
Yeah.
dude.
I was kind of saying, man, when this came out, I don't know. I guess going into a movie like this, you would expect some crazy shit, but hopefully nobody was eating mushrooms or something because this
Yeah.
would be the worst trip.
Oh my god, yeah. This place is super surreal, crazy lighting and color all over the place.
Her mom's image keeps popping up.
Yeah, she
Help
goes to
my
that like
daughter, and it's
hall of mirrors.
oh, dude, it's crazy as shit.
Yeah, and that lady who turns out to be her mom, starts appearing on all the mirrors saying, "Help my daughter." The fucking eyeball juggling clown, and they're his own. That was crazy to me. Like, you didn't see that at first. You see him juggling something, and then you
Right.
see, oh, they're eyeballs. And then you
then-
see, oh shit, they're his eyeballs.
Yeah.
Right. Got the baby sewing its mouth shut.
Yeah, what the fuck?
The clown laughing and the mirrors breaking.
Yeah.
It's just wild. But then all of a sudden, Tiffany is just walking towards a light. So
Yeah. Finds her way back out,
There's a
reaches
lot
up
of-
toward the sky.
a lot of abrupt, you didn't
Changes.
see her
Right.
leave. It was like a fever dream for a second.
Yeah,
you know?
nothing really makes a whole lot of sense, and I don't think it's meant to in this moment necessarily.
Right,
This is just her hell, apparently.
right.
So Kirsty runs through some halls, but she's clearly lost. Suddenly she's back home, and she finds like a cabinet. There's like a bunch of pictures of her and like her mommy, she calls out at one point. All the pictures start bleeding though, and then we hear a baby crying. Classic Hellraiser hallmark.
Oh, yeah.
The picture she's holding changes to one of Julia, and she drops it. I like to think not because of the blood, but because it's Julia.
Yeah, that's what I got.
Ah, fuck!
That crazy bitch.
The cabinet falls over and explodes with cockroaches. She screams and calls for help, but now she's back in the labyrinth with the Cenobites. And Pinhead pops out and he's like,
Aw, Kirsty, we thought we'd lost you.
and the lady Cenobite, she's an interesting character, I think. She's very vocal, and she mentions at this point, so sweet of you to come back. Kirsty starts trying to mess with the box, but Pinhead points out,
How can it send us back, child? We're already here, and so are you.
Pinhead holds out a hand, and the box flies up and transforms into an elongated diamond, and he like gives her a look like,
Pretty good, huh?
We can change it.
You like that?
she goes, I didn't open the box. And then neck vagina lady goes, oh, didn't open the box. And what was it last time? Didn't know what the box was. And she, like excuses.
Oh, yeah.
Keeps taunting her. It's awesome.
Yeah. And Pinhead, he goes,
Oh, Kirsty, so eager to play, so reluctant to admit it.
Right.
and the lady Cenobite again, are you teasing us? God damn, calm down.
Take it easy.
She says she's coming for her father, and they all start laughing. Pinhead goes,
Ew.
he's in his own hell and quite unreachable.
Right.
She says she doesn't believe him, and she runs off, but he stops her with a chain, and he goes, he is in his hell as you are in yours. She asks, what about you?
And he's like, We have no more surprises. We have always been here. Please feel free to explore. We have eternity to know your flesh.
Damn, dude.
Mic drop.
God damn. We cut back to Julia and Chenard making their way through a haunted house. And just the lighting everywhere, dude. That's exactly where it put me.
Oh, yeah.
They're sitting at Scream Acres.
There's a
Babies
baby crying
crying
again. Damn it. Multiple babies.
Yeah.
You can tell Julia is waiting for him to discover something. And he sure does. Suddenly he comes into a room where there are 3 people apparently having sex, or at least 2 people standing there naked next to a dude who's chained to a wall. I'm not really
They're
sure.
all chained up. I mean,
So is this supposed to be his ex-wife, maybe? Suddenly her face changes to Julia's, but I don't know who it was supposed to be. Originally, for a second, I thought, is that Kirsty? No way.
yeah, I couldn't tell either. I was kind of thinking about that, but I don't know if it's just, are those people that are just in hell?
Yeah,
I guess,
that's
yeah.
kind of what I was thinking. Just random people, just
Maybe,
enjoying their pleasures.
Right.
Maybe they're there for sex reasons, and yeah, maybe they're having sex, but maybe they don't want to
They're
be.
doomed to have sex forever.
Right.
Oh no.
Yeah, that'd be terrible, wouldn't it?
If you have an erection lasting
know.
more than 4 hours.
Oh no.
I was gonna say,
I don't
after
know.
a while, it just
Hell's starting to sound pretty lit, fam.
dry out, dog. You know?
No, it can't because it has to be perpetual. So there's got to be some kind of hell magic to keep the juices flowing so that don't happen.
They probably want it to
Juices
hurt.
flowing.
They want it to hurt.
Oh, okay. I didn't think about that part.
It's your hell, yeah. You're doomed to have dry sex for all of eternity.
Oh.
Ow, 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 ow.
Eventually, you just wouldn't be able to feel anything, right?
It's raw.
So Julia leans in behind Chenard and she says, come, I have such sights to show you. Hey, shut the fuck up. You don't get to say that line.
Dude, I kind of like that.
Yeah? Did you?
I think so.
I dug
man.
it too.
Yeah.
right.
It's just showing you, yeah, like she said before.
But just because if someone dropped it, I'd have been like, all right, I see you. But since it was Julia, I don't want her to have anything good.
She's terrible, but I like her as a bad guy.
She is a good bad guy.
You know what I mean? Yeah, dude, she's
is.
fucked, and that's why it's awesome.
Right. I hate the person of Julia.
Yeah, like
but
fuck Julia because she's
the villain
fucking over
Julia
Christy.
is
Yeah,
pretty
but
great.
Yeah, she's a great character.
Yeah. Kirsty is still running down some halls. She comes to a sort of center hub where there's about 9 different hallways to choose from, and she can't make a decision. And then Tiffany sneaks up behind her, and she's like talking to her. She's like, you must have opened the box, Tiffany. You have to close it. Get us out. And Kirsty tries to like bully her into answering, but she doesn't talk dick, remember?
She doesn't say shit, yeah.
Julie and Chenard see Leviathan floating above the labyrinth. Chenard says, oh my God. Julie says, no, this is mine. The God that sent me back, the God of flesh, hunger and desire. Leviathan, Lord of the Labyrinth. And then there's a crazy montage of the Leviathan showing him a bunch of scenes of himself in the past, perhaps. Him as a child with a scalpel. There's a bunch of surgical scenes. And he kind of falters, and we see images of Tiffany and her mom help my daughter. So that's kind of the reveal that that's who that lady in the mirrors was. Julia kisses him, and we see flashbacks of nasty, skinless Julia.
Rare.
She pushes him backwards into a bit of box that rises from the ground, and it looks like some kind of meat locker situation. And I guess that's technically
that's
what it is. Yeah.
The old meat locker.
Joke's on
Old
you.
feet and ankle jump scare.
Get in the box.
Julia says, "Why do you think I was allowed to come back? It wanted souls, and I brought you." Chenard gets restrained by very weird and vaguely body part-like arms and tusks and all kinds of shit.
Dude, it's so fucking
Getting
weird.
injected with weird
Yeah,
fluids.
whatever
and
that
Blue
was.
and red tubes.
She goes, "You
and-
wanted to know, and now you know. I wanted everything. Now everyone's happy."
I don't remember him asking for guitar strings to get across his face. You know, that was pretty random.
That was
cheese wire.
fucking gross, dude.
That's what I was actually kind of hoping. I didn't know it was going to happen, that he was going to come back, kind of thing. But when that started to stretch over his face, I thought it was going to cheese wire through
Literally
his head.
cheese
I thought
wire.
it was
Yeah.
going to just.
Right. But no, it just kind of presses on it. There's like 5 of them. It almost looks like, speaking of guitar strings, it looks like a musical staff, but, handheld.
Yeah.
And that it kind of wraps around his head. I really like when it shows his makeup later and you see that his ear is split where the string went through.
Ooh, I didn't notice that.
Yeah.
Little details.
Yeah,
Yep.
that was cool. I noticed that as well.
Yeah, these wires are pulled across Chenard's face. Some like disgusting appendage shoves into his mouth.
Weird tentacles.
Yeah.
That one was much. Dude, the mouth stuff just
Yeah.
gets me. I was like, I'm going to peek away for a second.
Was that a thorn or a tooth on the end of that tentacle?
Yes.
Okay. Great. Either way, he's fucked.
The box lowers into the floor. We go back to Kirsty and Tiffany. They encounter a facade that apparently looks like Larry's house. And Tiffany tries to pull her away, but Kirsty's like, "No, I have to go in. And if I'm not back real soon, go out. Or you got to get out and go home." And Kirsty walks into definitely not her father's house. There's candles everywhere in this huge open room. There's a woman crying out from somewhere. Oh, there she is. She pops out from this little, like, on this, like, morgue table, slides out of a little alcove, and a woman under a sheet is, like, writhing on it.
I thought they were moaning. I didn't think it was.
Yeah.
I didn't think it was like a cry for help. It sounded like people were fucking. like literally.
It was kind of on the border for me, but she only slides out for a second, and then she goes back in, and then 2 more pop out. And then the 2 women lying on each other are kind of making, like, mirrored movements next to each other.
Mm-hmm.
And then we're back once again to just one, and then Kirsty pulls the sheet off of it, and when she does, the woman disappears. She walks up to a mirror and sees some makeup on the table along with a picture of Frank. Oh shit, that's not a good sign.
Right. This is Julia's vanity.
Yeah. She sees the same quote from earlier written in the mirror in blood. And now 3 women pop out of their little brick oven pizza center, and now they're covered in bloody sheets. And oh my god, we see a switchblade flick open.
Oh, and we know what the fuck that means.
That can only mean one thing.
Daddy Frank.
Uncle
Yep.
Frank's back, dude, and he's
Yeah, man.
fucking creepier than ever.
Yeah. The most creepy he's been.
Dude, this whole scene.
What's the matter, Kirsty?
Dude, when you're dead, which I guess cancels out the incest. So, like, what the fuck, Frank?
Oh, not me. I
Yeah.
said not Uncle Frank, that fucking pedophile.
Right, yeah. Oh, my God.
Yeah, he walks up. He's like, "Don't worry, it's only Frank. It's only Uncle Frank. Didn't you get my message?" Oh shit, that was him, not Larry, saying, "I'm in hell, help me."
Oh, fuck.
Yeah. So
Oh, shit, dude.
he's coming after her and using, the whole that old chestnut, the Larry skin bit. But he goes, "So ripe in your confusion, so luscious in your pain." And she goes, "I want daddy." I don't know if he's the best person to say that to.
Yeah.
He's like, "I got your daddy." He goes, come on, Kirsty, grow up. When you're dead, you're fucking dead." And he charges at her. And he like pushes her up against a column. He's like, "Don't be naughty, Kirsty, or I'll have to punish you first." Oh boy, here we go.
Gross.
He goes, "Would you like that?" And then the women pop back out of their pizza ovens. He goes, "Don't be shy, beautiful. Ghosts aren't jealous." And he goes, "This is my hell. They're here to tease me. They promise forever and never deliver. That's why I sent for you." So that was him coming, leaving the message on the wall and all that
Right.
shit. A clean bed pops out for them. Ooh, here we go.
Yeah, she says, "Don't hurt me. I'll do anything."
Yeah. And she fucking kisses Frank. I mean, she misses his lips by a mile, but oh well. Like, but still, what the hell?
Yeah, she does it to get away from him.
Yeah, she does mention, I'll do anything, just don't hurt me. That didn't work out so well for Julia. Kirsty goes to the bed and kind of makes a show of it for a second, but she grabs the sheet and she goes, I'd rather burn. And she throws the sheet onto a candle and it erupts in flames, as does the rest of the room. Frank starts bleeding from all over and he begins like peeling his skin off of himself. And he's like, no, not my skin, not my face. He turns back into good old Juicy Frank from the first movie. Apparently, Julia has found Tiffany, and the gang's all here now. She goes, family reunion. Frank says, I knew you'd come. You're a girl who always keeps her promises. She goes, oh, I do. And she releases Tiffany, and Kirsty kind of shields her. And he goes, I know just how much I meant to you. Come here, kiss me. And then we'll have a real family reunion. You belong to me. Julia comes over, runs a finger across his lips, and then pulls his fucking heart out of his back.
Yeah, literally.
Fucking Mortal Kombat style.
Yeah. She goes, nothing personal, babe. Wait, how did Julia get the bloodstain on her chin? She didn't actually touch him anywhere. Kirsty and Tiffany run off. They drop the box, and I wasn't sure if they picked it back up or not at that point. Turns out, no, they didn't. Julia gets it, and that's the last person you want to have it. As they run, suddenly a sealed door next to them bursts open beside them and tries to suck them in, and they cling to the walls. And then there's like the piece of lament that got Chenard earlier rises back up, and he comes out a fully transformed Cenobite at this point. His makeup is great. I love how the wire, like I mentioned earlier, splits his ear in half. And he goes, and to think I hesitated. Oh, this is amazing. I can't believe I've waited so long.
He's officially getting off on all this.
His makeup's good, but I feel like towards the end of the movie, it looks like it's drying out, like his like face paint.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You can tell that they've been recording for a long time.
Right. There's a nasty, fleshy version of the medical instrument that he was using earlier. It pops up and attaches itself to the back of his head. Julia walks up to Kirsty and Tiffany, and she goes, you never could hold on to anything for very long, could you, Kirsty? Because they're trying to cling onto the wall at this point.
Right.
Kirsty has a brilliant move right here. She lets go and bashes into Julia, knocking her into the wind tunnel instead, and then she clings to the wall. Kirsty tries to grab Tiffany. Julia slowly makes her way back toward them, but Tiffany notices she's holding the diamond configuration. That's what I'm going to call it anyway.
Yeah.
Tiffany reaches for Julia, and then Kirsty reaches for Tiffany, grabs her hand, and apparently the force of her pulling on Tiffany is enough to split Julia's back skin down the middle and rip her whole fucking skin layer off of her body, at which point the rest of her gets sucked back down the hall. Fucking bravo, dude.
Yeah. Gross wet Julia gets sucked into the the fucking wind tunnel.
And then you get the one shot of just like the skin suit just like chilling on the floor.
Yeah, well, Tiffany lifts her hand and she's still holding Julia's degloved fucking skin, dude. That's sick.
Why is it strong enough to pull her fucking body weight, but not that light skin suit that's just laying in the fucking hallway? Anyway,
the rest of Julia's Edgar suit crumples to the floor, and Kirsty and Tiffany run off. They run into a hospital room, apparently. As soon as they do, the wall behind them closes as if a door had never been there. They slowly stand, scanning the room. Kirsty sits on the bed, and Tiffany seems to recognize the place that they're in. Kirsty kind of loses it for a second, starts crying. Oh, Daddy, I'm sorry. Tiffany moves her mouth like she's about to say something, but no, and then she doesn't. No,
Psych.
You were so close, dude.
Psych.
Tiffany touches her head instead, and Kirsty stands and hugs her. And she goes, Tiffany, we're going to get out of here. They seem to actually be in the hospital at this point. They walk through the halls, and outside we see the sky immediately changing from sunny to horror storm in an instant.
That's how we know. Yeah. It looks like they're here. There's people walking around like workers.
Mm-hmm.
No, here comes a thunderstorm. And
yeah, the girls walk past a bunch of patients in beds, all with wounds of some kind on their faces, trying to solve lament. They each have a box.
Yeah, it took me a second because at first I'm like, oh wow, they're why are they going through? If they're on their way out of the hospital, why are they going through this hall of people that are sick or whatever?
Right.
And then wait, they all have fucking boxes. Yeah, it was fucking crazy.
Yeah, suddenly Chenard bursts in through a window, dangling on his new little crane game arm situation.
And he goes, tentacle brain scrambler.
Yeah. And he goes, the doctor is in. Hell yeah. So yeah, he comes into the room, and oh my God, the first thing Tiffany says is shit.
Amazing.
Kirsty gives her a skeptical look, like, what the fuck, seriously? Like, now you talk and that's what you say? Chenard looks pretty cool, good makeup. The girls run off and Chenard starts transforming. Little tentacles with like eyeballs and scalpel tips and shit come out of his palms as he's moved toward a patient with a hook and a chain hanging out of his face. Man, fuck, these movies rule sometimes.
Just all turning into monsters. And
yeah. The effects on the animation here are pretty terrible, but the overall concept is fun, I guess. I don't know what the fuck it's supposed to be about, but whatever. It doesn't have to be about anything in particular, I guess. Chenard says, I recommend amputation.
He has nothing but one-liners for the rest of the movie.
Oh, yeah. He's fucking Groucho Marx from here on out. Two of the tentacles stab into the guy's temples, and Chenard starts holding a note like a tenor at the opera, just... Suddenly, the guy's hand falls to the floor. What the hell? Why not the head? What happened there? I really like the animation on the hand, though. Like the way it moves after it comes to a stop. Crumples a little bit. Kirsty and Tiffany find their way to the Cenobite clubhouse. Chains hanging everywhere. Like the fucking
the
whole room.
clubhouse.
The whole room is one like big old beaded curtain.
Yeah, shit, yeah.
Kirsty tries to run back, but the door is closed and locked. And then Pinhead comes out and says,
Oh, no more boxes. Such a shame.
the lady Cenobite's like, no more teasing. And then both say, time to play. Oh boy. Kirsty's like, wait. And Pinhead's like,
No more deals, Kirsty. It's your flesh we want to experience.
she remembers her picture of Elliot Spencer. And she goes, no deals, just information. And he goes,
Go on. I'm listening.
He goes,
But trick us again, child, and your suffering will be legendary even in hell.
whew.
Another mic drop.
Oh, boy. She hands him a picture of himself, and he's like, what is this? Someone else you think escaped us, like Frank? There's another terrible line here. She goes, no, this one didn't escape. It's you. He's like, nonsense. She tries to convince him he wasn't always like this. He was a human, and tries to convince him, like, remember. He looks at the photo, like, melancholically, and she tries to convince all the Cenobites to do the same, basically. Neck Vagina Lady says that's enough, but Pinhead says,
Wait, I remember.
Jesus Christ.
Right.
I mean, Jesus wept.
He's not supposed to feel. I don't want him to.
Not anymore. Right.
Yeah, this
Hashtag
was the
not my
part where
Pinhead.
it lost me, where
Yeah.
it's like, all right.
I want him to be
He's
evil
beyond.
and fucked up. I don't want any feeling from him.
Yeah.
He's like
He's beyond
He's
that.
like He should be Satan. You know
He's,
what I mean?
he's a hell
like
priest.
controlling-
Yeah, dude.
Nice.
She goes, you were all human, and they all look kind of sad all of a sudden. Like,
we were.
the reaction shots of each one is hilarious, dude.
Right.
Suddenly, Chenard sneaks up from the darkness and calls out to Tiffany. And, oh, weird, dude. So he makes some more tentacles come out, and then on the one that extends the furthest, his actual finger pops out of it and then does the little come here wiggle. What the fuck was that choice? It was very silly. He goes, I'm your doctor. I'm here to help you. Pinhead looks over, like, unsure of which path to take, and then, oh, here we fucking go.
He's
dude.
like, wait a minute.
This shit is goofy, dude. We get all the Cenobites lined up like the fucking Avengers, like facing off against Chenard, who is what, like a super Cenobite? I don't know, dude. Pinhead starts like pointing to places he wants chains to come from, which
Right.
I guess could be cool, but I don't know. He's looking kind of silly doing it.
Right.
Listen, at least this is better than the blob monster at the end of the first Hellraiser. It's literally nothing but a potato.
I mean, sure. But he tears into Chenard with a few of these chains, and Pinhead keeps turning his head in different directions. I don't like that. Suddenly, Chenard is hooked in a bunch of different places, but of course, he's the strongest somehow, so his little tentacles are strong enough to whip right through the chains and cut him.
Right.
Bruh.
Yeah, I don't. All this is fucking goofy, dude.
Yeah, I don't
He's
like
about to pick off everybody one by one as they all stand and watch. It's not good.
No one does anything. There's no
Right.
fucking, like, I don't know. Neck vagina
Butterball
lady.
doesn't pull something out of his stomach and throw it at him or something.
Yeah.
Something.
The neck vagina one looks concerned, and for good reason, apparently, because Chenard chucks something right into her neck vagina, and she falls down dead. Interestingly, when she does, she reverts back to her human form.
Right.
Next, he spears Butterball in the chest. Same thing happens. He's like shooting tentacle pieces out in little segments.
Right.
Next, Chatterer goes down, but he gets pinned to the weird spinny pillar thing.
Mm-hmm.
Pillar of gross. I don't remember what we called it in
I
that
don't
first
remember either.
episode. But he doesn't change back to human form until like the third spin, and he looks like a child when he does.
Right.
Like he's young
Like a
as shit.
teenager or something.
Yeah. So now Pinhead faces down Chenard, and Chenard's like, I'm taking over this operation, and you girls will be my first patients. He lunges forward, and electricity sparks in his palms and shoot out into Pinhead's eyes, turning him a bit more human with each zap. I don't know exactly what's going on there, but...
Like, why does he have control?
Why does he
over
have that power?
Yeah.
Yeah. But finally, he's back to being good old Elliot Spencer, but he's still in his, like, Pinhead sexy S&M costume. He exchanges a look with Kirsty, which I also don't like. It's like, oh, so long, kid. This is for you,
Right.
or whatever.
Fucking goofy.
The girls run off just before Elliot's throat is slit, and the makeup on this throat slit is phenomenal. It looks
yeah.
legit as
It
fuck.
is, yeah, it's brutal.
It's like opening and closing as he gasps for air.
I like the war cry.
I saw shit like that on Rotten.com or something. Yeah. Oh, the war cry, his
war
fucking...
cry from Chenard, yeah. Oh. This is where I noted that his makeup is looking pretty bad by here, you know, and I don't know if it's just hours and hours of shooting, but he's starting to look kind of
Right.
dry.
Right.
It's drying up.
Need some of that Julia Jello.
Right.
So,
Some of that juice.
Spencer falls down dead. We get another shot of the exterior of the hospital. Dark clouds rolling past all fast. Lightning strikes the top. And we get a quick glimpse of Leviathan when that happens. Inside, Tiffany is telling Kirsty she has to go back to finish the puzzle. They remembered and they got better. And the hospital is absolute chaos, by the way. People running all around in the background. One dude laying on the floor, a couple of orderlies beating a patient, dragging him off. It's insane.
Yep.
The next room they go to is full of beds with dead bodies on them and blood all over the place.
Sick.
The girls run past them, and Tiffany arrives to a point where the wall begins to open up back into that hell dimension. And she turns to give Kirsty one last look and then runs in, you know, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
They're both hauling ass down the hallway, and it's kind of a goofy scene where it's cutting back and forth between their upper halves and their feet. But then they arrive back at Julia's skin suit laying on the floor. She's still got the diamond in her hand. And Kirsty's like, what is this thing? What does it do? There's more running. They come to an opening, revealing a vast expanse with the Leviathan floating above it. It's spinning slowly, shooting out like black beams from each side. We cut to a POV of Tiffany, apparently laying on a surgical bed with Chenard standing above her, and he says he's there to help. It's like a flashback sequence. Her mom appears again asking for his help, and she goes, these puzzles consume her life. Can you help her? All right, so it sounds like she just really likes a thing, and you don't want her to have that joy, you monster.
Yeah. Yeah, I noticed that too. It's just like, what, you put her in a fucking institution because she was obsessed with puzzles? Like, come on, mom.
Rude.
Appropriately enough, a black hand shoots out and covers her mouth in part of that flashback montage. I don't know what that was about. Chenard lowers the mask over Tiffany to sedate her, and she calls out to Mommy, come on, Tiffany, it's not that scary. Kirsty finally realizes it's a puzzle. Jesus, took you long enough. And Tiffany stands up and walks toward it. She kneels before it and starts to open the diamond when Chenard pops up beside her again. Kirsty runs to her, but one of his tentacles throws her away, and he goes, ah, girls, and how are we feeling today? One of the tentacles opens its little mouth part, and a bunch of spikes protrude from it. Kirsty steps on one of them. He goes, you have your whole lives behind you now. No anesthetic at hand. What a shame. And he floats over. I gotta be honest, this design is a little silly. The big tentacle holding him up, his fingers are tentacles that he's holding out in front of him. It's really goofy.
It's, yeah.
Cluing you into what Chenard's into. He likes the tentacle stuff.
Have I got a hentai for you? Quick close-up of the tentacles with scalpels on the tips. Chenard says, surgery is open, Tiffany. What is on the agenda today? And he goes, ah, yes, evisceration.
Sick.
All the different tips on these tentacles are crazy. One of them sprouts a bunch of blades and spikes and comes towards Tiffany's face. A box begins to rise behind her, and suddenly Julia's back. What the fuck? And she grabs her, Chenard floats over next to them and he goes, I knew you'd come back. They go to kiss and Tiffany eyes the diamond laying on the ground. Tiffany opens and begins to solve it. It turns back into a box, the lament configuration that we all know and love, you know.
Right.
Chenard glances over and he goes, your case is closed, Tiffany, and I'm afraid it's terminal. And he cuts her with a scalpel. And that's where I said, all right, so wait a second. Is her name actually Tiffany? Because earlier Kyle said a nurse just named her Tiffany.
Right.
But they didn't know her real name, and they just kept calling her Tiffany. They're still calling her Tiffany. She ain't saying shit about it.
Even with the flashbacks from her mom.
So was her
Right.
name actually Tiffany or what?
Must be.
Did he just mean the nurse was reading her chart and their name was fucking Tiffany?
She called her Tiffany. She had this weird clipboard in her hand.
So this is... I don't understand what happens. 2 tentacles shoot out and into the ground in front of Tiffany. And then for some reason, Chenard just starts convulsing. Like, I'm not sure what's going on. Like, energy seems to maybe be going into the ground, and it's sort of causing him to short circuit or some shit. Like, either way, the thing attached to his head, like, that we get a very uncomfortable close-up of, because it looks like a big veiny wiener from this angle, rips off the top of Chenard's head for some reason.
So is this just because she closed the box?
Or like she was in the process of closing, so he just like in pieces was falling apart basically.
Maybe. Is it just things that are happening sequentially, but they have to show us, you know?
I guess that would make sense because she closed the box. That's what they were saying they do. We have to go back and close the box for this to end.
The way it was filmed, the way it looked was just, oh no, I shot the ground instead of your feet or whatever.
So now my head falls apart.
Now, yeah.
Right. Well, and then it all kind of coincides with all of a sudden the labyrinth is in a weird self-destruct mode.
Yeah.
You know?
Right.
So it all kind of...
It does look cool as hell with half of his head hanging there, though.
That's true.
And the head floats toward her and she falls off the side. And it looks for a second when the body's falling like it's like a dummy with no head. But she clings to the ledge hanging over a huge chasm with smoke and lightning down below. And Julia walks over and says, trust me. Yeah, no thanks.
Right.
Why in the world would I?
You're the last person I would trust. But she is actually legitimately trying to pull her up, it seems, which is interesting. As she does, though, part of her face starts to kind of collapse, and her arm begins to rip off. Tiffany degloves Julia and throws the skin into the abyss below, where it explodes for some reason. She continues trying to pull her and actually gets her up. And we cut to a shot of Julia. Half of her face is hanging off. She pulls the rest of the skin off.
Yeah, wait a damn minute.
And it's Kirsty.
It was Kirsty in a Julia skin suit.
What the fuck is happening?
Pulling
Why
an
are
Uncle
you
Frank.
wearing Julia?
To trick him. She's pulling an Uncle Frank, taking a lesson out of his book.
To distract Chenard for long enough for Tiffany to get the box or whatever?
Yes.
Yeah, because he knew that, she knew that he was obviously into her. He helped her up to this point, so she was like, wow. But as a last-ditch effort, wouldn't you try the skin
Once
suit?
again, Kirsty will do anything,
Yeah,
and
she'll
she
do
will get the fucking job done. They have a weird bloody hug and walk off. Suddenly, the Leviathan begins acting up again, and a bunch of white energy starts pulsing through it.
Semen.
This is the self-destruct mode you're talking about, Jason. They run back down the hall while the Leviathan shifts and shoots out little laser balls, and it's very fucking Star Wars.
Yeah.
Goofy as shit.
Death Star falling apart.
Meanwhile, the box is covered in electrical energy, and these things are going fucking everywhere. Kirsty and Tiffany approach the opening to the hospital, but a door begins to close, and they barely make it inside. And Leviathan returns to the lament configuration.
Lament configuration?
Configuration? The lament configuration.
Ah, okay.
The walls seal back up, and everything stops. We cut to a now cleaned up hospital. Flowers rest on all the beds that the patients were killed in. Kirsty and Tiffany outside walk down a path apparently away from the hospital? Question mark?
Yeah, it seemed like they were just walking the fuck out of there.
This cut back to like it seems some time must have passed. So why were they back at the hospital?
Just because that's where the doors were. Like the doors opened up in.
But
the
I'm saying this
hospital,
is a different day. They're wearing new clothes.
Oh, this almost feels like the end of Nightmare, Hey, Nightmare's over, you walk outside, and hey, everybody's all cleaned up and nice and hair's done. And
okay. We cut back to Chenard's house. And it's all boxed up, and the moving guys from the first movie are there. Holy shit. Or at least the one guy for sure.
The one guy is definitely the same. I don't know if both of them are.
I didn't even put two and two together. It's pretty funny, though.
And, well, the one that is the same is the guy that finds the bloody mattress. Wait a second. How in the fuck is the rest of this house all boxed up nicely, but this bloody-ass room hasn't been touched?
Right.
They took one look at it, and they were like, nope, not touching that.
Speaking of touching, this guy moves, like he goes toward the bed, he touches it, and he calls out, hey, take a look at this, and immediately gets pulled in by a couple of arms that shoot up.
Right.
The other dude walks in and sees him half pulled into the mattress, and suddenly the spinny pillar pops up with the faces of Pinhead, Julia, Chenard. There's a skeleton laughing and humping another skeleton, apparently.
All kinds of weird
I don't know what
imagery
the
on
fuck is up with that. There's definitely a dick hanging off this thing, too, just a bloody dick.
Oh, I didn't see that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We see the baby that sewed its mouth closed. He's hanging out on the pillar. And finally, we get the face of the guy from the other movie. What's your pleasure, sir?
Yeah.
And we cut to black. Holy fucking shit, guys. The end.
It was a ride.
Where do we start on this one?
I want to say I'm glad it ended.
Yeah,
I couldn't have taken another 5 or 10 minutes.
Well, here's the thing. It didn't end. It continues.
I mean, the movie ended.
It ended for us.
I'm glad the credits rolled. I did not like this one.
No.
It
nearly
dragged.
as much. I mean, like I said, up to a certain point, I was like, hell yeah, and this was getting interesting, and why is this guy all deep into all the information of the fucking puzzle box and shit? But then, just all of a sudden...
By the third act, everything falls off the rails, dude.
Yeah,
right.
Seemed like they were going to give you some background on the puzzle boxes, and he had some information, and yeah, you don't get any of that. It's just like, nope, he knows it all, but you don't, so...
Son of a bitch.
Yeah, I'm thinking maybe they rushed this out. It was 1 year, right, after the first one, or 2?
It was the next year, 87 and 88.
That means that they immediately wrapped filming and started filming the next one.
Which,
right away.
Great. They would have already had a bunch of props and shit done. Like, they have no excuse for not, like, blowing the first one out of the water.
Right.
And they had a $3 million budget as opposed to a $1 million.
Right.
Well, like I said, I mean, it clearly worked for them. I mean, they quadrupled their gross amount that they made. I mean, the first one did like 4.5 and this one did 12.5. So, I mean, at least they made their money back and then some. So, then obviously those funded the rest of the terrible sequels from what the ratings tell me.
I was going to say, is this just a situation of, hey, it's got the Hellraiser name on it. We heard all this stuff. This next one's got it. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Because I'd be interested to see what the sales were and stuff on part 3.
Right.
Can't be good.
No, there's no way,
I could be wrong, though. But,
with CD guy? Come on. Yeah, man, I don't know. I gave this one 333 out of 666 dick tentacles. Just right down the middle. I didn't hate it. I didn't love it. I don't know, like, I just love being in the world of Hellraiser and the aesthetic that these movies bring. I do enjoy that very much, but this is not a good movie, guys.
No. I'm 2 out of 5 on this one.
That's where I put it was, 2 out of 5.
Don't get me wrong, it's worth a watch. I don't want to watch it again.
It's good enough to add to your collection just to have something to put on around Halloween time. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, it's fine enough for that. It's exactly fine.
Right.
Yeah.
I agree.
Like, there's some cool effects. There's some terrible ones, too. There's some decent acting.
Good lines.
There's some not so great acting, too. There's some good lines. There's some really fucking bad lines, too. Like, I'm just right down the middle on this one.
This is just an ultimate case of, the first movie is usually the best.
Sometimes you don't need to make that sequel.
Right. And I think, the first Hellraiser is what kind of holds Pinhead to his status. It's not the 10 movies that follow. You know what I mean? It's literally part 1 is what all we really need, I think.
Oh, yeah, for sure. 1,000%. This is a decent enough movie to add to your collection, but I wouldn't rush out the door for it or anything. If you don't have it, don't worry about it, guys. And not to mention the DVD that you find might only have Spanish subtitles or no subtitles at all. Or, whatever. It might promise subtitles and not deliver subtitles, and that's a fucking problem. I don't know. Do we have anything else we want to follow up with, guys? Or any thoughts on this or anything else?
I don't think so.
I got nothing.
No, nothing? All right. Well, we'll wrap it up here then. Thanks for hanging out with us, everybody. We had a good time. We hope you did too. Nick, we'll see you in some episodes down the road here and there. It's been fun chatting with you today about this one. Sorry we made you watch another super gross movie.
That's all right. I can't wait to be back. So.
If you'd like to get a hold of us, you can do so, as always, by emailing cenobitespod@gmail.com. Send us something in about, you can comment on a previous episode, give us a suggestion for another one in the future. Tell us your thoughts on Julia or her skin suit.
Or her fingers.
Or her fingers, or what she does with fingers, or whatever the fuck you feel like. Just don't be fucking weird about it, all right? Don't come at us about anything. Don't start on Won't Be None. No, I'm just kidding. Message whatever you want. Follow the socials at Cenobites Pod at Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, YouTube. Go check out all the stuff if you please. Like, subscribe, rate, comment, review, whatever you'd like to do. If you'd like to support the show, help us make it better for you, you can do so by visiting cenobitespod.buzzsprout.com. And last but certainly not least, best wishes to you and yours as you get all gussied up to celebrate the holiday this evening. Please do so responsibly. From the Cenobite Studios to your neighborhood, we wish you a safe and happy Halloween. As always, everybody, dreams are fleeting. Only nightmares last forever. Follow your nightmares.
Boy. Kill her, Mommy. Kill her.
I bid you welcome.
That's how it goes.